Hello YouTube. In this tutorial we are going to learn how to set up the best smooth library for Webflow. If you check my switch to grid tutorial, we learned how to set up locomotive scroll, but wait, Lenis is a better option in case you use Webflow interactions. Let's do a quick review why Lenis is a better smooth library and is the best one for now. Lenis is a free library. Lenis supports native animations of Webflow because it's hijacking the native scroll position. Lenis works perfect with the GSAP library and 3JS. Aside from that, Lenis is a light library and doesn't have any impact on the website performance. The best thing about this library is you can customize the easing or how smooth it should be easily. And finally, Lenis is supporting the sticky position by default. Among the Lenis advantages, I feel some disadvantages compared to the locomotive scroll library. First is locomotive scroll is smoother when you scroll and I like its default easing. I think Lenis can improve the default easing a lot. Also, locomotive scroll provides some default animations like changing the speed of the elements on scroll or even the direction of their movement. In this tutorial we are going to learn to set up the Lenis smooth scroll and also recreate of the AllWords nominees with Webflow. We will add some additional animations to make our own version even better. The codes and template are available for free on Patreon. You can subscribe to grab the codes. As we have talked earlier, Lenis Smooth Scroll is a great library for people who use the default animations of Webflow. The overall structure I used here is very simple. We have a fixed element at the top of the screen. We also need to wrap the scrollable content with a wrapper. Inside the wrapper we must use different sections and divide the content into smaller parts. As you see, I have divided the content into 4 sections. The first section contains a big header and also our hero image. The second section contains a long paragraph. The good news is we are going to animate each line with only a few lines of code. Our third section is using CMS. I have added some content here which is relying on the CMS. Let's learn how to set up our smooth scroll library. We will add a few lines of codes to enable the Lenis library. Inside the CSS section, we only need the first few lines which Lenis suggested to add. I will put an unrelated part to the smooth library inside a comment. Also I moved down a few lines of our codes, so we learn the Lenis smooth library for now. Let's start the structure of our code. We add a script line which imports the Lenis smooth library. Now we set up our Lenis smooth library. There are some attributes which we need to learn. You can customize these attributes as you want. Duration will specify the duration of our animation. The longer number we use here, the slower the scroll would be. We can even customize the easing of our smooth scroll. Also, direction will specify the direction of our scroll. Here we scroll vertically. The most important attribute is smooth. by default is set to true, which enables the smooth scroll with mouse. We also have smooth touch attribute, which defines the smoothness would be available on touch screens. Touch multiplier will define how fast or slow the smoothness is on touch screens. We have some extra lines which you must add in order to complete the setup of the Lenis smooth scroll library. Let's save the codes and publish the changes. We check how the smooth scroll is, and then we dive into how we can animate some elements. I use a combination of the default animation of Webflow and GSAP to show you why Lenis is the best smooth scroll library. Let's see how the first animation looks. We are going to scale down the logo on scroll and also move the white bar at the bottom of the navigation bar. This animation will be done with Webflow. What we are going to do is animating the scale of the logo on scroll. The trigger would be our first text. So, when it's not visible, we will shrink the logo, and when the title is visible again, the logo gets enlarged. Let's give the new animation a proper name. When you are defining the new animations, always use a name you can remember or makes sense. We animate the scale value of the logo wrapper. We scale down the logo on scroll as we have learnt earlier. We also need to customize the easing to improve the interaction. Instead, on linear, we use ease and out chord. We told Webflow to scale down the logo when the text is not visible anymore. Now we need to revert back the scale of the logo wrapper to its original size. We set the scale to 1 when the text is visible again. We also need to change the easing to. Now we need to change the origin of the element on reses. We select the logo wrapper and set the origin to left. So, when we scale down or scale up the logo wrapper, this action starts from the left edge. Let's review the animation we learned here once more. We scale down the size of our logo on scroll down, and when the text is not visible, we also defined another animation to revert the scale back to its original size when the text is in view again. Let's learn the structure of the white line. We add a wrapper for the white line and set its overflow to hidden. Inside this wrapper we have white line element, which is basically a div. We will animate the element and move it to the left. If we translate X the white bar, we achieve our desired effect, but we will use GSAP library and scroll trigger. We found -150% is a good amount to hide our white bar. We do the same thing with GSAP library and scroll trigger extension. Let's check the custom code. We need to import the GSAP library, and also, we need to import the scroll trigger extension. The split type library is not important for this animation. As usual, we need to register the scroll trigger library. The first line will do this. The second line will tell our browser to define a variable which is called white. This variable will move the white bar horizontally -150% during 0.5 seconds. Also, the animation is paused because we don't want this animation runs by default. We created a scroll trigger function. This function has different variables. Trigger will define which element starts the animations. Start is set to top, which means when top of the object reaches the top of the window, the animation runs, and is set to bottom top, which means when the bottom of our element reaches the top of our window, the animation ends. Unleave is needed here to define what happens when our text is out of view. We tell our browser to run a function and move the white bar 150% to the left. OnEnterBack tells our browser what happens when our text is visible again. We want to reverse the animation. Instead of duplicating the animation, we can reverse it with GSAP. Let's publish the code to see the changes on the live version. I wish we could see the result of our custom codes inside the designer. As you can see, we are using a combination of GSAP and Webflow. These all happened thanks to Lenis Smooth Scroll library. Now we are going to animate the image inside our hero wrapper. The method I'm going to use would be different from what I have used for the switch to grid animation. We are going to animate the background image instead of putting an image inside a big wrapper. Since these changes just came to my mind, I have to update the structure. We set an image as the background of our wrapper. Also, we set the background image type to cover. We are going to animate the position of our background image as we scroll down. This time I'm going to write the whole code while I'm recording. Let's open the editor and write our custom code. I add a comment to help you how these codes work. The template of this video is available for my Patreon followers for free. Just direct me your email address. We use GSAP2 again. We set our target to big image. We want to apply some changes this element. Now we have to define what attribute would be changed on scroll. Right now we want to learn what attribute must be animated here. We open the CSS preview box. As you can see, there is an attribute which is named background position. Currently, it's set to 50%. We just need to move it down a bit when we scroll down. If we decrease the second value of background position a bit, the image moves down. The reason we want the image moves down is the overall content moves up when we scroll down. We set the second value of the background position to 35%. As you can see, the image moves down. We undo the changes. Let's write our code. We write down background position, but there is a small line in between background and position. The code is not correct now. To fix that, we remove the small line and write the first letter of the second word in capital format. Now we write scroll trigger to target the animation with the scroll position. Trigger attribute is set to the big image. We have other attributes including start and end. Also, scrub is set to 0.3, which defines how fast the animation catches the scroll position. Let's publish the changes to see the result. Till now we have recreated 3 animations. Lenis scroll supports Webflow and GSAP, but locomotive scroll is not working with the Webflow animations. We still 2 more animations. The one we check now is changing the background color on scroll. We want to change the background color of the wrapper when the news section is in view. Aside from that, we need to change the color of the text from white to black. Let's see the changes before we use a custom code to do so. We change the background color to creamy and also make the text black. Let's undo the changes and dive into custom codes. I've added more than 4 ways to do this with GSAP, but we just learned one of them. The first 3 methods will rely on adding a class name. We create a class name and name it background change. This class will change the background color and also the color of the text. We don't need the class name we have created for the method we use, but let's check out one of the other 3 methods. The first method is adding a class name to the wrapper. When the news section is in view, we assign the class name we have created to change the background color of the wrapper and also the text colors. We use scroll trigger function. As you see, our trigger would be the news section. When the top of our news section is in the middle of the window, the animation starts, and it ends when the bottom of the news section is in the middle of the window. We remove the class name. In order to add or remove the class names, scroll trigger provides an attribute. Toggle class will let us assign a class name to our desired element. Here I assign the background change class name to the news section. Let's learn the main method. We use GSAP set to set the background color and text colors. Right now the wrapper will set the background color of our website and also the text colors. So, we are going to target this element. As we have learned, I use GSAP set. We set the background color and text color of the wrapper to black and white respectively. This is like the default state of the Webflow animations. And then we use GSAP to in order to animate the background color and text color when the news section is in view. We set the background color to white and text color to black. We also pause the animation because we want to decide when the animation gets started. Our scroll trigger will start the animation. The trigger is set to the news section. The start is set to top center and end is set to bottom center. Also, scrub is set to true. We already defined an animation with the power of GSAP 2. Now we want to tell our browser to play the animation when the news section is in view. Also, white reverse will reverse the animation and brings back the default colors. When the news section is not in view anymore. Actually, we told our browser to bring back the default values when the bottom of the news section is in the middle of the browser. Let's publish the changes and finally learn why Lenis is perfect for Webflow users. As you can see, the background color changes from black to white and also, we animate the text colors. The last part is going to demonstrate why Lenis is perfect. Unlike Locomotive Scroll, which doesn't support the native sticky position, and you must use the attributes they provide, Lenis works perfect with the default sticky position. What we are after here is a simple version of the images effect they achieved. But in case you need the original animation, I have created that with GSAP and CMS. In our iteration, we are going to scale up the image on scroll from 0 to 1 and then scale it down when the sticky image is out of view. I hide the section 4 as we will create a simple version of it. In case you don't want to use GSAP, you can achieve that with the Webflow on scroll animation and animate each image one by one. Let's grab a div and put it between the section 5 and section 4. We give it a proper name, so we know what we had done later. We set the width to 100% to make sure the sticky wrapper will cover the whole of the width of our browser. We set the height to 400. The sticky section needs an image which gets fixed when it's in view. That's why Lenis is better than the locomotive scroll, as this library supports the sticky position natively. Since we are using an image, we just set the width, and height would be set automatically. Here I set the width to 30%. In order to set the position of our image to sticky, we need to make sure the parent wrapper, which is the sticky section, has relative position. We select our image and set its bottom padding to automatic. We want the image stays fixed at the top of our sticky section. Underneath the sticky position, we set the top value to 25%. Also, the top padding is set to 50 VH. What does that mean? When we scroll 50 VH, our sticky images will stay fixed 25% away from the top side of its wrapper. We select our sticky section. Add an animation. We use while scroll in view, which is like the scroll trigger in GSAP. We want to animate the scale of our image, so we select the image and add this element to the timeline. We set the default scale at 0.5, and when we scroll enough, we scale up the image, and when the image is out view or close enough to not be visible anymore, we scale it down again. I will increase the speed of the video from now, but you can see what I'm doing. Let's publish the changes and see the result in action. By the way, I have added a text in the same way and I increase its scale when it's in view. I just didn't want to increase the video length for no reason. In an upcoming video, we learned how to reveal each line of a paragraph one by one with the help of split type library. Also, we learned how to create a custom scroll bar for our websites. For people who follow me on Patreon, the template of the Ubisoft website is free with all animations we learned here. Also, by subscribing to my Patreon, you will have access to many other templates and can grab custom codes.